Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of the NXT Post-Show review, where I go over everything that happened on NXT. This being the September 2nd, 2025 episode that just went down, that just wrapped up. I will be going over all the matches, all the segments, all the promos, all that good stuff, and breaking them all down. Giving my thoughts on what I think is going to come next and all of that good stuff. So, yeah, if you're new here, welcome. And if you are returning, then welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast. I am your host, Josh, as always. So, yeah, we're going to get into WWE NXT. But before we do that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos. Make sure to leave a comment down below on everything you thought about NXT. You can also go check out the Spotify. These post shows are not on Spotify for the weekly show post shows. The weekly show post shows are not on Spotify. They're only on YouTube. But you can go check out everything else on Spotify. All the other podcasts are over there on Spotify, so go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and check out the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I just posted today the interview I did with the promoter and owner of Destiny World Wrestling, Emilio. We had a fantastic conversation, a good 30-minute conversation. So go ahead to the Ko-Fi page and check that out. It'll be out on YouTube on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to watch it before it comes out on YouTube, go ahead to the Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum for the exclusive wrestling content tier, and you will get access to that and any future early access things that I put on there, like early access to podcasts, early access to interviews, and all that good stuff. And sometimes I'll throw in my predictions for like the weekly shows on there. I have analysis breakdowns and all of that good stuff over on the Ko-Fi page. So if that is something that interests you, then go ahead and check that out. But yeah, with all that self promo out the way, let's jump straight into NXT. A fairly decent episode of NXT. It wasn't too bad at all. It was better than previous weeks. Still had some weird moments, some moments that I was like, yeah, okay, this is typical NXT. But I won't lie, there were a few moments here where I was like, okay, this isn't bad at all. The night kicked off with Lash Legend defeating Jada Parker. A match that obviously we knew that was bound to happen eventually, with all the bickering back and forth between the two. Now, I was thinking that they might give the win to Jada Parker, but it seems like they are building Lash Legend as this like dominant force in the women's division, maybe eventually to build her up to win the NXT Women's Championship. Lash Legend is still growing on me. I don't know how I feel fully about her just yet. She's a good wrestler, of course. I don't think she's a bad wrestler at all. I think it's just the character itself that it's it's slowly starting to grow on me, but like very slowly. Jada Parker, someone I'm a fan of. I like Jada Parker. She's fantastic in the ring, and I like her character as well. And I think that she should be doing more. I think she should be Women's North American Champion at least by now. Um, yeah, I'd like to see her be champion sometime soon. After the match, though, Jada Parker attacked Lash Legend and then delivered a hypnotic through the barricade to Lash. So doesn't fully make Jada look weak. She, got her revenge right after she lost. So this is definitely going to be something that continues. And I mentioned this on the preview on my TikTok, which also go ahead and follow that as well. Um, I mentioned this that they're probably going to have something happen. Not suggested. I said that they could end in a DQ, which I thought was going to be the case at one point in this match. But they didn't go that route. But it's going to be a feud that continues, and they possibly could have another match at NXT No Mercy. So that is very possible. After that, we had a backstage segment with Blake Monroe talking to Ariana Grace about like eyelash makeup, or I'm forgetting the name of the company that is like sponsoring NXT, and it's like in the center of the ring. but they were talking about that brand. And then Jordan Grace came into the locker room looking to attack Blake Monroe, but all the other women in the locker room separated them. There was Nikita Lyons back there, who I haven't seen in a while. I think she's down in Evolve doing things. Um, but and then there was I can't remember who else, but Callie Armstrong was also one of the people involved there. And Callie Armstrong, she told Jordan Gray, she's like, "You ruined my debut match here on NXT, and now you're doing this. Now you have a problem with me, not just Blake Monroe." Um, that set up a match later on in the night between them, which I'll get into. Not much to take away from that segment at all. We then had a Javon Evans promo, our first time seeing him since NXT Heatwave. He pretty much came out and apologized for letting the fans down. The fans were still behind him, still supporting him. And then Josh Briggs trolled Javon Evans with the Undertaker's music. Everybody thought the Undertaker was coming out. There's a loud pop, and then Josh Briggs' music hits. He had the motorcycle on Titantron and everything, fooling the crowd. So Briggs comes out and he tells Javon that he's never going to be NXT champion and that he doesn't have that like grit and like that edge that he needs to be a champion. And it just seems like that's what Josh Briggs is going around telling everybody. So that's just his gimmick. He's like, you need to have an edge. You need to be the bad guy to win the title. Javon Evans wasn't having it though, but then Josh Briggs laid out Javon Evans. Um, I'm kind of liking how they're making Josh Briggs look right now. I think that he does need to capitalize on this momentum, and they need to capitalize on the heat that he's getting from the NXT fans. And I think Josh Briggs is someone with a lot of potential. Um, so yeah, hopefully they can capitalize on this, and I think him and Javon is going to put on a pretty good match. They're going to go toe to toe next week, and we'll get into that. We then had a vignette. It was shown to hype up Candice LeRae versus Zaya Brookside. We had a backstage segment. Hank and Tank were trying to get Obafemi and Ricky Saints on the same side. Pretty much, one of them was telling Obafemi Ricky Saints' accomplishments, and the other one was telling Ricky Saints Obafemi's accomplishments. So that was that. Pretty kind of a funny backstage segment between these four. We then had the Speed Championship Tournament match, Candice LeRae defeating Zaya Brookside by pinfall with, I think it was just like 25 seconds left on the clock, because obviously these speed matches are 3 minutes, if anybody didn't know that. So yeah, Candice LeRae advances. I figured that they were going to go with her. I think that she's honestly going to win the entire thing. Yeah, I can see that being the case. So yeah, Candice LeRae moves on. A solid enough match. It was fast paced, of course. It's called WWE Speed. Yeah, pretty solid. And I'm a fan of Candice LeRae. Zaya Brookside looked pretty good as well. So yeah, maybe she'll grow on me eventually. I know she's still fairly new, so I haven't seen too much of her yet. But they look like TNA and NXT look like they're trying to showcase her a little bit more. So we'll probably see a lot more of her in the time to come. We had a backstage segment. Josh Briggs walked into the locker room to everybody talking about him. That they went quiet when he walked in. Uriah Connors and Cale Dixon told Briggs that what he did to Javon Evans wasn't cool. That he's just acting like a jerk. Josh Briggs didn't take kindly to that, of course, and just insulted both of them. Andre Chase came in. And then pretty much got in between them. Josh Briggs insulted Andre Chase as well. And then Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors, on behalf of Andre Chase, made a match against Josh Briggs versus Andre Chase. Goodness, I'm just saying the same names over and over. It's like it's messing with my head right now. Yeah, so that set up Andre Chase versus Josh Briggs later on in the night with another backstage segment. Ava told Fatal Influence, The Culling, and Zaruka. Obviously, Izzy Dame, that's her name, Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley of The Culling. And then all of Fatal Influence was there. Pretty much telling them next week there's going to be a triple threat eliminator tag team match to determine who gets a shot at the women's tag team championships that's held by Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So, yeah, they're trying to do a little bit more with those tag titles, and yeah, throwing NXT tag teams in there always seems to work, and like have good matches. So, yeah, this could be pretty interesting. I don't see any of these NXT teams walking away right now with the title. That my mind might change about that, especially after the match next week. But as of right now, I'm just sticking that they're not going to give it to the NXT brand. I just don't see it happening. They haven't done it before. And yeah, I just don't see it. Um, we then had a vignette of a Dark State. It was like a vignette, like backstage thing, where Dark State, they go into each member's backgrounds and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty much just explaining who they were in further detail. Obviously, we had Cutler James explaining how he got kicked off of LFG because Bubba Ray told him that he didn't have it. He just wasn't good enough. And then Cutler James is like, "Well, I'm just here to prove you wrong." So that was that. Um, there was like a lot of segments and promos, and I know I say this a lot with each post show review, but man, that's like all it was tonight. Like very, very promo and segment heavy on this episode of NXT, which if you've listened in the past, I'm not a huge fan of. Um, you can still use matches to, progress storylines, and it's a way to get other people on the card as well. Um, but no, let's just throw a whole bunch of promos and segments together. But we had another promo from Trick Williams, the TNA World Champion, coming out and talking about the past of NXT Black and Gold, obviously with NXT Homecoming coming up in 2 weeks. And it's pretty much saying how everybody from then left and completely forgot about NXT because they're busy traveling internationally, like in Paris and all that stuff. And then DIY comes out. Surprisingly, I didn't expect DIY to come out. Go over to TikTok or Instagram to check out my reaction to DIY returning to NXT. So yeah, DIY comes out. They disagree with Trick Williams calling himself the greatest NXT superstar of all time, and then they end up just laying out Trick Williams. Backstage, Javon Evans is. Before I move on, because I for some reason didn't write this down on the website, but later on in the night, Trick Williams was asked what he thought about DIY attacking him, and he said, You guys aren't the only like old guys around, so I'll see you next week." Which means he's probably gonna bring some other NXT Black and Gold guys, and we're probably gonna get a 6-man tag at NXT Homecoming, which is gonna be pretty interesting. Especially, I don't know as of right now who he's gonna bring over. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. But then we had what do we have? Oh, we had a backstage segment once again. Javon Evans is getting examined by a doctor. He's not having it. He tells the doctor he's fine. Ava comes in and tells Javon that if he doesn't get involved in Josh Briggs' match later on tonight, that he will get a match with Josh Briggs next week. Um, so yeah, that was that. And then we came back from commercial break. Ava backstage again makes a match between Tavion Heights and Ethan Page in a flag match. Um, I can't remember. I think this was set for next week, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I can't fully remember when they scheduled this for because they did show the graphic, but I was editing my reactions and stuff, so I didn't fully see when they announced this for. But it will be either next week or if not next week, then it's going to be NXT Homecoming. It was one of the two. In a flag match, not for the North American Championship. They're probably going to do that at NXT No Mercy, which it doesn't really make any sense to me, to be honest. But you know what? Maybe this flag match can be fun. I like Ethan Page, and Tavion Heights seems like he's starting to get a little bit better. Like each time we see him, and then yeah, we then had Jordan Grace versus not Kalani, Callie Armstrong. Kalani Jordan wasn't even on this episode of NXT actually. Nowhere to be seen. But yeah, Jordan Grace defeated Callie Armstrong by pinfall. Because screw the Evolve Women's Champion. um, I haven't seen enough of Callie Armstrong to really get behind her. And I won't lie to you, I didn't pay much attention to this match. This match didn't do anything for me. I'm not a fan of the Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace feud. I think it should just be over with by now. Yeah, I had no interest in this match whatsoever. After the match, though, Blake Monroe attacked Jordan Grace, which ended up in a brawl, separated by security. So yeah, that feud is obviously continuing, and it's probably going to lead to some sort of stipulation match at NXT No Mercy. Um, yeah, I have nothing else to say about that feud. You guys probably heard my rant about this feud. And if you haven't, go check it out. It's also on TikTok and my Instagram. So go check that out. Yeah, I completely just went in on this feud because it's not good. We had a promo video of like Lola Vice going back to Cuba and talking about her background in Cuba. Obviously, she's being the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And so, they're really going into her background and showing where she's from. They do this to really make it seem like she has a chance to win the NXT Women's Championship. I don't know if she will. Um, I don't know if she will defeat JC Jane. It's possible. It very is possible. Anything is possible in pro wrestling. I just don't know if it'll happen. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see Lola Vice being the one to dethrone JC Jane, but again, my mind could change when we come around to that match. Um, we then had a promo video. Nope, that's a lie. I'm reading the same thing over again. Josh Briggs defeated Andre Chase by pinfall, and another match I didn't pay much attention to as well, because I just was figuring I could do better things in the meantime. I did take glances at this match. The match looked fine, exactly what I expected it to be. After the match, Briggs attacked Andre Chase and the rest of Chase U, being Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon, and then put Uriah Connors through a table. It might have been Kale Dixon he put through a table. I didn't fully see, but I did see the chokeslam, and the chokeslam looking nasty. That was a beautiful chokeslam by Josh Briggs. And that's just one of the many things that I'm talking about when I say Josh Briggs is underrated. And it's not just because he has the same first name as me. But yeah, pretty cool stuff there from Josh Briggs. He's looking better. They're making him look like a monster, which should have been done a while ago. Yeah, and the crowd absolutely hates him, and he's eating it all up. He's doing what he's doing what he can right now. We then moved on to the main event: Obafemi, Ricky Saints, and Hank and Tank defeating Dark State. Now, this match was pretty entertaining, and a lot of it was good. I didn't like the psychology of this match though. So because at the end, towards the end, Ricky Saints and Obafemi end up brawling and they leave the match, because throughout the match they kept taking small shots at each other. And at first it was funny because Obafemi did like Ricky Saints' taunt, with the whole hand thing that I'm not gonna do. Yeah, and then they got worse and worse and worse, and they ended up brawling, leaving Hank and Tank alone. And so I said to myself, I'm like, okay, Dark State's gonna win now. While Cutler James is in the ring, he says Joe Hendry's name, and lo and behold, Joe Hendry appears. And then he's on the apron, it distracts Cutler James, and then Hank and Tank get the victory. So here's my issue with this. Dark State is supposed to be this dominant faction, but they lose in a 2-on-4 scenario. I guess 2-on-3 technically with Joe Hendry being there, but I mean, you still have the numbers game. It doesn't make Dark State look great, and this doesn't do anything for me either, because again, from the beginning, I really didn't care about Dark State. And from the beginning, I kept saying that this is just retribution all over again. And it's still feeling that way despite them being the NXT Tag Team Champions, because the NXT Tag Team Champions just lost. And it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why WWE keeps having this thing where they have their champions lose. And it just makes me think that, recently when we saw a champion lose consistently in Solo Sikoa, the former United States champion, he ended up losing that title once he defended it. So are we going to have the same case here? Is Dark State going to start losing matches for absolutely no reason and then ultimately drop the titles back to Hank and Tank? That's just not good booking. It's not good writing, and it's incredibly lazy. Um, there's so many other ways that you can write Dark State to be dominant, and they are doing the polar opposite right now. So still not a fan of this right now. I'm not a fan of the booking. I'm not a fan of the group, and it's yeah, that's my opinion on it. I just don't like it. Um, yeah, and then after the match, they showed Ricky Saints and Obafemi still brawling in the what am I saying? In the backstage area. And security was separating them. Obafemi delivered a hard shot to Ricky Saints. My words are just all over the place. It was a European uppercut that just drove Ricky Saints into like that garage, um, into like the garage area, and it looked brutal. But like obviously he's just a hard hitter. That's what Obafemi does. But yeah, overall NXT was fine. It wasn't like a fantastic episode, but it wasn't a terrible episode either. They had some high spots, but they had some really low spots as well, which they've been having recently in recent weeks. And it's just been a tradition at this point. Yeah, I think the main event was good, but it was just not a good ending for me. Jada Parker and Lash Legend was fine. Um, yeah, overall, an okay episode of NXT. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. There's a couple funny moments. That's what NXT does. Um, but let me know if you agree or disagree. I always love hearing you guys' opinions, and there's a multitude of different ways you can let me know your opinion. You can let me know in the comment section below on YouTube. You can go over to Spotify and let me know over there as well. You can also head over to the Discord server that we have for Kayfabe Central that is always linked in the description. You can join that up. We're trying to build a community over there. So go ahead and check that out. Leave your thoughts over there, predictions for pay-per-views, all that good stuff. You can also head over to the Kayfabe Central website. There's a comment section over there under every single post, whether it's a coverage post, article, written predictions, or anything along those lines. You can leave a comment there. There's also like a group and community section on the website that you can join and leave thoughts and stuff like that over there as well. So, multitude of different ways you can let me know your opinion, whether you agree or disagree. And make sure you guys go check out the Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I recently did an interview with Emilio, the owner and promoter of Destiny World Wrestling, and it was a fantastic conversation. And it's up right now for exclusive wrestling content subscribers on the Ko-Fi page for $5 minimum. You will also get a whole bunch of other stuff like written predictions for NXT, Raw, and SmackDown from time to time, early access to podcasts when I post them, and early access to interviews. I'm always going to be doing early access to interviews from now on. So make sure you are subscribed to the Ko-Fi page if you are able to. That would be greatly appreciated. But with that being said, that is your NXT review for September 2nd, 2025. Once again, let me know what you guys thought, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. Take it easy.